Hi.
All right, next tough questions video thing, right?
Welcome.
Yes. Welcome. Hey, Sam's not here because they just had a baby. And yeah, so we got questions from you. We're going to answer them. The very first one, these ones are about sin. So thank you for asking that question. So the question is, what can I do about sin? What do I do to help the battle of sin? So I think the first thing we have to do is we have to define what sin is. I think sometimes when we talk about sin, we make it out to be this like abstract, weird thing, like almost like glitter, just like gets all over you, can't get it off, right? That's what I picture sin to be like. But really, all it is it's a miss, right? It's missing the target. You've heard this many times. It's an archery term. I'm not terrible at using a bow and arrow, so I'm sure if I shot, I would sin by a lot. But really, the idea is all about our choices and goodness. So we know what goodness is. So when we choose something that is not good for us or for somebody else, then that's a sin. That's a miss from goodness. Or even thinking about like our choices. Like there's wise choices. There's wisdom. There's also healthy choices. So when we make unhealthy choices, or we make choices that are unwise, those would be considered sins. It's a miss from wisdom. It's a miss from healthy choices. So we know that what Jesus did really covers us, and so that we don't have to live with this list making of how many sins we made and how many things we did, and the goal isn't to just be unsinful, or that would be a really miserable life to have. So Jesus frees us from that. But it doesn't mean sin goes away. Like sin is still there. Even Paul talked about it. I resonate with what he said, because he said, there are times when I do what I don't want to do. And there's times that I don't do what I want to do. And so this question you're asking is one that's been talked about for a long time. So it's a really good question.
So like Michael was saying, sin is something that we all deal with. No one's above it. Like it says, we're kind of born into our sinful nature, but that's where Jesus and his love come in. Just because we sin doesn't mean we're bad people, and doesn't mean we can't be forgiven, or there isn't grace in the times that we fail to hit the mark. So what I would say is that acknowledging the fact that you sin, and even like thinking about like taking time to like sit down and be like, what are the areas I struggle in most? Like I could be more susceptible to lying or gossip or being angry. Like sitting down and actually like evaluating kind of what it is that you tend to reoccur or when you miss the mark, I think is really important, because that helps you kind of narrow down what you want to work on. And it also is like your way into confession and like, hey, I know I deal with this, and reconciling that. And even then what we would say repent from that is choosing then to go the opposite direction from that. And there are like things that we can do to actively go that direction. So once you like sit down and kind of evaluate like what it is you want to try to actively work on, like say you want to have more encouraging words come out of your mouth rather than discouraging words come out of your mouth. You can sit down and like almost take an action plan. Like, what are ways that I can work in my mind when a situation comes up and I want to say something, but then I know that it's not something that's going to be helpful to somebody. So there are things that you can do when you sit down and be like, okay, I know I deal with this a lot. What are things that I can do, ways that I can think, things that I could stay away from to help me turn away from what I don't want to do anymore. And I think that's really cool. It can be really practical. And then even bringing in friends or other trusted people in your life to help you stay what we call accountable to that. Meaning someone you can tell, hey, I've really been struggling with anger and acting out in anger towards people. Can you help me keep accountable to my action steps that I'm trying to take to turn away from that anger? Having those people in your life who can be accountable, or you can be accountable to, is really helpful, because you're communicating your plans to people and they're helping keep you accountable and helping you stay healthy, and just someone to talk to so that you know you're not alone in fighting against the battle of whatever you're facing. So I think that's really important. And again, like we kind of said at the beginning, just know that there is grace in the times that you fail. Just because you had a plan and you failed to stick to it one time is not the end of the world, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, and I think this is part of what Paul calls the transforming of our minds. And this is what happens as we pursue Christ and aim to be more like Him. But I have a question for you. You didn't know I was going to ask. So, is it sinful to be from Ohio?
Well, depends on who you're asking, I
Yes,
guess.
yeah.
No, I'm just asking you. What do you think? Do you think it is? Like, is there hope for them?
I think there's hope for everyone, even people from Ohio.
Powerful words right there.
So good.